Walking into Sarah's kitchen felt like stepping into a warm hug. The smell of roasted chicken mingled with laughter and chatter, creating a cozy atmosphere that immediately put me at ease. I was a bit of a hermit, preferring my books and lesson plans over social gatherings, but Sarah had a way of drawing me out of my shell. "Emily, you made it!" Sarah exclaimed, her voice a beacon in the bustling room. She dashed over, enveloping me in a tight hug that squeezed the breath out of me for a second. "Thought you'd bail last minute." I laughed, shaking my head. "And miss your cooking?" "Never." Sarah was the kind of friend everyone needed. Straightforward, with a no-nonsense attitude that was as refreshing as it was intimidating at times. Her husband, Mark, was the quieter counterpart, a gentle giant with a knack for listening that balanced Sarah's fiery spirit perfectly. As guests mingled, sipping on wine and nibbling on appetizers, I noticed a man I hadn't seen before. He stood out, not just because of his sharp suit that screamed "I mean business," but there was an air about him that caught my attention. He was chatting with Mark, but his gaze wandered, eventually locking with mine. "That's Michael," Sarah whispered, sidling up to me. "Quite the catch, huh?" I raised an eyebrow. "And he's here because?" Sarah's grin was mischievous. "Let's just say, I might have played matchmaker tonight." Before I could protest, Sarah was dragging me across the room, my heart hammering in my chest. "Michael, this is Emily, the friend I've been telling you about." "Emily, meet Michael, the city's most eligible bachelor." Michael extended his hand, his grip firm but gentle. "Pleasure to meet you, Emily." His voice was smooth, with a confidence that made my knees wobble a bit. "Likewise," I managed to say, hoping my nervousness wasn't too obvious. Dinner was served, and conversations flowed as freely as the wine. Michael was easy to talk to, sharing stories of his travels and business ventures that sounded like they were from another world compared to my quiet life as a teacher. "So, Emily, Sarah tells me you're shaping young minds." "That must be rewarding," Michael said, his eyes twinkling with genuine interest. I shrugged, feeling a blush creep up my cheeks. "It's more like herding cats, but yeah, it has its moments." Michael laughed, a sound that made my heart flutter. "I can only imagine. It takes a special kind of person to do what you do." The evening flew by in a blur of laughter and shared stories. As the night wound down, Michael offered to walk me to my car, a gesture I found charmingly old-fashioned. Standing beside my car, the cool night air felt electric between us. "I had a great time tonight, Emily. I was wondering if you'd like to go out sometime, just the two of us?" I hesitated, not used to this kind of attention. That sounds nice, Michael." "Great. I'll call you," he said, his smile sending a wave of warmth through me. "Yeah, I'd like that," I replied, the smile on my face feeling permanent. Driving home, I couldn't shake the feeling that tonight was the start of something new. Little did I know, that dinner at Sarah's wasn't just a simple gathering. Waking up to the chirping birds outside our bedroom window, I stretched, still marveling at the reality of my new life. Married to Michael, living in a house that seemed straight out of a magazine, it was a far cry from my cozy, somewhat cluttered apartment back in the city. The smell of coffee wafted up, pulling me out of bed and downstairs, where Michael was already up, looking every bit the successful businessman, even in his casual morning attire. "Morning, beautiful," he greeted, his smile bright. "Coffee?" "Yeah, thanks," I mumbled, still rubbing the sleep from my eyes. Taking the mug, I sipped the strong brew, letting it chase away the remnants of sleep. "So, what's on the agenda today?" Michael asked, his tone casual as he glanced over his phone. I shrugged. Thought I'd unpack some more boxes, maybe explore the neighborhood a bit. Michael nodded, his attention half on me, half on the emails he was scrolling through. "Sounds good. I've got meetings back to back today, won't be home till late." This had become the norm since we moved in. His presence, once constant and comforting during our courtship, had become more like a guest appearance in our home. I brushed off the nagging feeling of loneliness, chalking it up to the adjustment period of marriage. That evening, when Michael finally came home, I decided to broach the subject. "Hey, can we talk?" I asked as he loosened his tie, looking exhausted. He raised an eyebrow, sitting down on the sofa. Sure, what's up? It's just, I feel like we're ships passing in the night lately. I miss us, I admitted, feeling a lump in my throat. Michael sighed, running a hand through his hair. You know how it is. The business, it's demanding. I'm doing this for us. I know, I do. But maybe we could set aside some time, just for us? A date night or something? I suggested, hopeful. He looked at me for a long moment before nodding. You're right. I'm sorry, Let's do that. How about Friday night? Dinner at that Italian place you love? A smile broke through my worries. I'd like that. As we settled into a comfortable silence, me curled up with a book and Michael with his laptop, I couldn't help but feel that this was just a hurdle we'd overcome together. After our quiet moment of reconciliation, the days started to blend into one another. Michael tried to make time for us, scheduling those promised date nights, but his phone was always buzzing, pulling him back into the world of work. I found solace in setting up our home, making it ours, filling it with warmth and love, hoping it would bridge the gap that his absence created. One evening, as we sat on the back porch watching the sunset, a rare moment when his phone was silent, I decided it was the right time to bring up the topic that had been weighing on my heart. Michael, have you thought about us having kids? I ventured, my voice shaky with nerves. He looked at me, surprise flickering across his face, before it settled into a contemplative frown. Kids? You know how chaotic things are right now. I barely see you as it is. Bringing a kid into this, we're just not ready. I felt a sting at his words, a mix of disappointment and frustration. But we won't ever be ready. There's never a perfect time. I thought. We talked about this before. Michael let out a heavy sigh, running his hands through his hair. I know we did. But things are different now. The business is at a critical point, and we're just not in the right place for this, His words felt like a punch to the gut, leaving me winded. It wasn't the response I hoped for, and it hurt more than I expected. So, what? We just keep waiting? Until when? Until it's too late? Come on, don't be like that. It's not about putting it off indefinitely. Just, not right now, okay? Let's get through this patch, and we'll revisit. I promise, he said, his tone gentle, but firm. I nodded, not trusting my voice. The conversation had not gone as I hoped, leaving a heavy silence between us. As the night drew in, the gap between us felt wider than ever. 2 years flew by, and the change in Michael was like night turning into day, only in reverse. He was always at the office, buried in work, leaving me alone in our big, silent house. I found myself diving into my teaching, taking on extra classes, even snagged a part-time job to fill the echoing quiet of my days and nights. Michael? When he did show up, it was like living with a storm cloud. Parked in front of the TV, a beer in hand, he'd throw out comments about how I looked, how the dinner tasted like cardboard, or how the house wasn't up to his standards. It was nonsense, all of it. I kept our home spotless, cooked meals that would make a chef nod in approval, and as for my looks, I hadn't let myself go. But the way Michael went on, you'd think I'd given up on everything. Deep down, I knew this wasn't about me, or how clean the house was. My gut told me there was someone else, that his late nights were more about who he was with than what he was doing. I've seen enough shifty glances in my time, taught enough kids to know when someone's hiding something. One evening, I couldn't take the charade any longer. Michael staggered in late, more booze on his breath than words in his hello. I was waiting for him, my mind made up. We need to talk, I said, cutting right to the chase as he flopped down on the couch. About? He didn't even look up, just flicked through the channels on the TV. Us. This. I gestured between us, the vast distance, despite the few feet. I can't do this anymore, Michael. I'm thinking, we should get a divorce. Finally, he looked at me, his eyes narrowing. Divorce? Are you out of your mind? Do you know what that would do to my reputation? Your reputation? I couldn't believe my ears. Is that all you care about? What about us? What about how unhappy I am? Michael scoffed, taking a swig from the bottle he'd brought in with him. You're being dramatic. It's not that bad. Not that bad? I was fuming now. Michael, you're never here. And when you are, all you do is complain and drink. That's not a marriage. I don't even know what that is. He stood up then, his expression hardening. We're not getting a divorce. End of discussion. I won't have people talking, saying I couldn't keep my wife happy. I stared at him, disbelief and anger swirling in my chest. So, you're happy to live a lie? For appearances? That's enough, Emily. I'm going to bed. We're not talking about this anymore. With that, he turned and left the room, leaving me standing there, my heart breaking in silence. The last couple of months had been rough. I felt like a shadow of myself, dragging through each day with a heaviness that sunk deeper than just fatigue. Food lost its taste, and my clothes hung loose on my frame. Teaching, something I'd always loved, became a chore I barely got through. Michael seemed oblivious to it all, more concerned about the dust on the TV stand than the fact I could barely muster the strength to get out of bed. It got to a point where even I couldn't ignore it anymore. Something was off, and it wasn't just the blues. Dragging myself to the doctor's office felt like climbing a mountain, but I needed answers. Sitting in that sterile room, when the doctor told me I was pregnant, it was like a jolt of electricity. Happiness, fear, confusion, it all hit me at once. But through that storm of emotions, one thing stood clear: I wanted this baby, even if it meant going it alone. Telling Michael should have been a moment we shared, but given the state of things, I was dreading his reaction. My fears weren't unfounded. When I finally mustered the courage to tell him, his reaction was like a slap in the face. Pregnant? His voice was a mix of disbelief and anger. You want to bring a kid into this mess? I stood my ground, holding on to the newfound resolve that came with the thought of being a mother. Yes, I do. And I'll raise this child with or without you. Michael laughed, a harsh sound that echoed off the walls. Without me? You think you can handle this on your own? You're not exactly young, Emily. His words stung, but I was beyond caring about his opinions. I am fully capable of raising this child. It's clear you don't want any part in this, so maybe it's best if you leave. That set him off. Michael was furious, his words a venomous stream I refused to absorb. He stormed out, and the silence he left behind was a relief compared to his presence. 3 days passed without a word from him. I was alone, truly alone, with a life growing inside me and a marriage crumbling around me. I couldn't understand how we got here, how the man I married became a stranger, how our plans for a family turned into a battleground. My mind was a jumble of thoughts, worries about the future pressing down on me. That's when I stumbled upon something that turned my already upside-down world completely inside out. Late one evening, while scrolling through my phone, trying to distract myself from the loneliness, I noticed a message request on Facebook. It was from someone I didn't know, a woman. Curiosity got the better of me, and I opened it, my heart sinking as I read her words. The message was brief, but clear. She claimed to be in love with Michael, telling me to let him go, because he didn't love me anymore. My initial reaction was disbelief, followed by a bitter laugh. Of course, there was someone else. The late nights, the detachment, it all made sense now. But seeing it in black and white was a slap I wasn't prepared for. Fury and hurt swirled inside me, urging me to do something, anything. So, I did what any self-respecting, scorned woman would do. I went to her profile. There, smiling back at me from the glowing screen, were pictures of Michael and her, cozy and smiling, a stark contrast to the coldness I'd been living with. I felt sick, my hands trembling as I put the phone down. It was one thing to suspect, another to have it confirmed so blatantly. I needed to confront Michael, to hear him admit it. But first, I needed support. Staring at my phone, the message from Michael's mistress still burning bright on the screen, I felt a surge of disgust and betrayal so intense it was like a physical blow. My hands shook with a mix of rage and heartache. Without thinking, I dialed Anna, my sister, needing someone to anchor me in this storm. Anna. I choked out the moment she answered, my voice a whirlwind of emotions. He's been cheating. There's someone else, and she had the nerve to message me. Anna's voice came through, sharp and clear, laced with anger on my behalf. That lowlife. Are you okay? What are you going to do? I'm done, Anna. I'm filing for a divorce. I can't do this anymore. Not only that, I'll make sure he pays for this, compensation for his cheating and alimony for the baby. I said, my voice growing stronger with each word, my resolve hardening. Before Anna could reply, a shadow fell over me. Michael had entered the room, his face a mask of fury and shock. Without a word, he snatched the phone from my hands, ending the call. Filing for divorce, huh? And you think I'm going to just roll over and accept that? He spat out, his voice laced with disdain. I don't care what you accept. You've made your bed, and now you're going to lie in it. I want nothing to do with you. I shot back, my heart pounding in my chest. Michael sneered, a cruel smile twisting his lips. I'm not marrying her, Emily. It was just an affair. And you think I'll give you a divorce? Pay you alimony? He laughed, the sound bitter and cold. I won't let you drag my name through the mud. And I sure as hell won't be paying for a kid that might not even be mine. His words were like daggers, but I stood my ground. You don't have a choice. I'll go through the courts if I have to. You think you can live this double life, juggling your wife and your mistress, without any consequences? You're wrong. Michael's anger seemed to boil over at that. You have no idea what you're getting into. I won't let you ruin me. He hissed, his face inches from mine. I'm not the one who ruined us, Michael. You did that all on your own. And now you're going to face the consequences, I said, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions raging inside me. The words Michael spat out about not wanting the baby and his refusal to leave his double life behind hit me hard. I was reeling from his coldness, his outright cynicism. In that moment, my decision was made, I was leaving. But as I turned to grab my things, a sharp pain cut through my stomach, so intense it ripped a scream from my throat. Michael, call an ambulance. I gasped, doubled over in pain, clutching at my belly. He looked at me, annoyance flickering in his eyes, before being replaced by a reluctant sense of responsibility. I'll drive you, he muttered, clearly irritated by the inconvenience. It was pouring outside, the kind of relentless rain that blurred the world into a watery haze. I struggled to the car, each movement a burst of agony. Michael drove, silent and tense, as we navigated the slick country roads. Then, horror struck, a warm rush of blood, a crimson stain spreading over my clothes and onto the car seat. Michael! I cried out, terror seizing me. There's so much blood. His reaction was a mixture of anger and disgust. Get out! He barked, pulling over with a screech. You're ruining the upholstery. In disbelief and pain, I somehow managed to get out of the car, expecting I don't know what. Help, maybe? But Michael just drove off, leaving me there alone, in pain and bleeding on the side of the road. I don't know how long I was there before darkness swallowed me whole. When I woke up, the sterile white of a hospital room greeted me, and my sister, Anna, was there, her face etched with worry and relief. Emily, thank God, she breathed out, squeezing my hand. I found you on the road. I was so scared when our call dropped, and I came looking for you. The pain had dulled to a throb, overshadowed by a heavy sense of loss. The baby? I whispered, fearing the answer. Anna's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry, Em. They couldn't save the pregnancy. Grief washed over me, a tidal wave of sorrow for the life that would never be. Amidst the pain, Anna shared that Michael had been in an accident too, found not far from where she'd found me. It seemed fate had a cruel sense of irony. He's here, in the hospital. It was his fault, the crash, she said quietly. It wasn't long before a police officer entered my room. He was a middle-aged man with kind eyes, introducing himself as Officer Daniels. He pulled up a chair, his demeanor gentle yet professional. "Mrs. Thompson, I understand this is a difficult time for you, but I need to ask you some questions about last night. Your sister informed us of the circumstances leading up to your situation," he started, glancing at Anna before turning his attention back to me. Taking a deep breath, I nodded, signaling him to continue. "Yes, I'll tell you whatever you need to know." Officer Daniels nodded, taking out a notepad. "Can you tell me about the argument you had with your husband?" The memories came flooding back, and I recounted the events, my voice steady, despite the pain that throbbed in my heart. "We argued about our failing marriage, about his infidelity. And then, when I needed him the most, he abandoned me on the side of the road." The officer's brows furrowed as he scribbled down notes. "And he was aware of your condition? That you were pregnant?" "Yes, he knew. I told him, and he didn't care. He left me there alone," I managed, the bitterness in my voice surprising even me. Officer Daniels' expression softened. "I'm sorry you had to go through that, Mrs. Thompson. Based on your account and the preliminary investigation, we're looking into charges of neglect and endangerment against your husband. His actions led to serious consequences for you and the loss of your pregnancy." Anna squeezed my hand, her presence a silent support. The thought of Michael facing consequences for his actions was a cold comfort, but it was justice, however small. "What happens now?" I asked, the weight of everything crashing down on me all at once. "We'll proceed with the investigation, and I'll need you to provide a formal statement when you're ready. We'll do everything we can to ensure your husband is held accountable," Officer Daniels assured me, his voice firm. As he stood to leave, he paused, looking back at me. "Take care of yourself, Mrs. Thompson. We'll be in touch." After he left, the room was silent, save for the steady beep of the heart monitor. Anna was the first to break the silence. "He'll get what's coming to him, Em. You're not alone in this." The days that followed were a blur of doctors, police statements, and endless hours of trying to piece together a semblance of normalcy. Michael had been charged, and the news of his actions and subsequent arrest made headlines, tarnishing the reputation he valued above all else. After everything settled, the divorce, the court cases, and Michael's downfall, I started to rebuild my life, brick by brick. The compensation and the justice served felt like a cold comfort, but it was closure. The press had a field day with Michael's story, his reputation tarnished beyond repair. He lost his job, his status, and his ability to charm his way through life. As for me, I took it as a sign to start fresh. I found a quaint apartment not too far from the school, a place filled with light and hope, a stark contrast to the shadows of my past. Returning to teaching felt like coming home, the smiles and laughter of my students a balm to my soul. One afternoon, as I was tidying up my classroom, Marie, a fellow teacher and friend, popped her head in. "Hey, Emily, you heading out soon?" "Yeah, just finishing up here," I replied, stacking some papers. She leaned against the doorframe, her expression serious. "You know, we're all really glad you're back. The kids missed you. Hell, we all did." I smiled, touched by her words. "Thanks, Marie. It feels good to be back. Feels like I'm finally moving forward, you know?" Marie nodded, understanding. "You've been through so much, Emily. But you're one of the strongest people I know. You've got this whole new chapter ahead of you now." I chuckled, the idea of a new chapter still feeling a bit surreal. "Yeah, a new chapter. Just gotta make sure it's a good one, right?" "Exactly," she agreed with a grin. "And hey, who knows? Maybe there's a new love story in there too. When you're ready, of course." The thought had crossed my mind, the possibility of opening my heart again. But I knew if that chapter were ever to be written, I'd approach it with more caution, more wisdom. "I'll take my time with that one," I said, my voice steady. "But for now, my heart's full enough with these kids and getting my life back on track." Marie nodded, pushing off from the doorframe. "Well, just know we've got your back, Emily. Through thick and thin." As she left, her words lingered in the air, a reminder of the support system I had around me. My journey hadn't been easy, and the scars would always be a part of me. But as I looked out at the empty classroom, filled with the echoes of laughter and learning, I felt a sense of peace.